Christy Dunton, Bethany Starks here, Grit and Grace podcast. So we thought today we would come and just do a little recap. 2 weeks ago, Christy and I went to Duluth, Minnesota, and we ran Grandma's half marathon and marathon. And so although most of our podcasts are going to be focused on health and wellness and fitness, we thought it would just be a good conversation just to talk about what we've learned and how we got there and what we learned from it to just share with y'all.
It's a lot, guys.
It was a lot.
Yep.
So first, let me tell you, so even though this is Grit and I'm Grace, I'm the one that pushes a little bit harder to do adventurous things.
Running adventurous things.
Yes, running adventurous things. And so, I think it was 9 weeks before the scheduled race.
Yep.
I text Christy, and my goal for the race was to qualify for Boston. And so I said, "Hey, are you in? If we can get a bib." And the race was sold out, but it was a Sunday afternoon. And clicked on the link, and we were during this window with Grandma's that you could do a bib transfer. So basically, if somebody had registered and wasn't going to be able to run, you could do a transfer. And Christy said yes, initially just to go with me.
Yep.
But like 10 minutes later, I was like, so what if you could run? And what was your response, Christy?
It was, I'm already training. So after the Fresh 15, we already had one planned. So I already started training for the half marathon. And I think that was that little bit of window that you needed for me to say yes to this adventure. So I was like, hey, I'm already training for it. I'm going.
Yeah, she was
Let's do
already
it.
training. She didn't think she was going to be ready per her training until July.
July
But
was the goal.
I said, you got this. Like, you got 9 weeks, and we can do it.
Yep.
So that's kind of how Grandma's Marathon was born. Grandma's is in Duluth, Minnesota, which is right on Lake Superior, somewhere we've never been.
Never been.
And it was the 49th Grandma's Marathon. And we did find out when we were there, it's called Grandma's Marathon because there's a restaurant, which we ate at, called Grandma's, and they were the first sponsor of the race. So it's well known to be a Boston qualifier.
Yeah.
Tell us about Duluth. What did you think about Duluth?
I liked it. Well, it reminded me of home. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana, so I'm up north. So I did enjoy going up north and seeing things that more northerners see. I see. Cooler weather was welcoming. I love me a good quarter zip, guys. And
That's why you wore it today.
and it was nice. The people there were amazing. They were so
super sweet.
welcoming to us. They really, you could tell that they get excited to have the visitors there, and that we probably bring a good economic, just an influx to that town.
For sure, because approximately 10,000 people ran the full, and 9,000 ran the half.
Yes.
So
it was pretty even.
So it was a big race. So you said yes.
I said yes.
And then we should probably talk about training.
We should probably talk about training.
Yeah.
So I use an app, and so I changed it to 9 weeks out for the half marathon, and got to it. I run 4 days a week. The weather is good here in Texas in the mornings, so I do enjoy running before I train 5 a.m. camps. So I am used to training at 4 a.m. and getting the runs in. So, and we actually got some chances to run, not really together.
Yeah, Christy's not one to run together.
No, we were totally different paces.
Yes,
completely different paces.
Different paces, but we did run together for some long runs.
We did meet up.
Yes, we met up.
That's what we can call it.
Yes, which is a lot. And, when we've traveled together before, we tend to get lost. We did really good on this trip with not getting lost. But on our long runs when we met up, Christy did get lost a lot. Because it's very dark. It's very dark when you run at 5 a.m. But so we had some long runs. The longest runs that I did 2 20-mile runs. Christy did
a 10-mile.
A 10-mile. And so how would you say you felt as far as preparation for our long runs that we did here in East Texas?
doing the long run, because that's the longest I ever ran before the half marathon was 10 miles. It does give you confidence as far as, okay, I did 10. I've gotten to the double digits. I can do 3 more. And so when you're training for something and everything else, knowing that I did every training. I didn't skip a training workout. I went out when I had to work out. I did the mileage when I did the mileage, and I did what I was supposed to do. And so it does. It eases a little bit of anxiety.
Yeah.
Of the doing something, especially for my first time.
Yeah.
It was my first time doing this.
Yeah. You know, I feel like training for this race that I experienced something different than I have before, that I actually looked forward to training. So I always look forward to the race, but I think what I looked forward to with the training was, it was like the challenge of, okay, can I do this? Can I do it at the pace that I want to do it at?
Yeah.
So I do think that was different than previous marathons, that I enjoyed the training a little bit more. Maybe it's because we met up.
Yeah. That's it. But this was your fourth full marathon.
Fourth full. Yes. Yeah. So what do you feel like the hardest part mentally in like the prep and thinking about it? Were you even prepared for the mental? We talk about mindset a lot.
Yes.
So it truly is a mental game, the training 100%. And the race. Oh. So tell me about that.
So mental. It truly is. And I mean, every training, everything that, I mean, because I'll do hill repeats, I'll do interval runs, I'll do sprints, I'll do just easy runs. Well, our easy runs.
Yeah.
And even on those 3 miles, 4 miles, 6 miles, I'm still saying in my head, I'm tired. Do I want to keep going? Do I want to slow down? Do I want to quit? I mean, it's never stopped. So you're always fighting that mental battle constantly in running. And, but you always feel accomplished at the end.
Yeah, that's part of what makes it rewarding, is that you overcame that. Christy and I listened to a podcast probably at the beginning maybe of this training, and it was an ultra runner, and she talked about visualizing herself at the finish line. Yes. We both ran a 5K this morning, and so like I think we will always use that analogy in that podcast, because you really have to like pull out all the stops mentally to keep going. Yeah. Whether it's training, because you know we're kind of a no excuses type.
Yes, 100%.
Because you know our morning trainings, they're like, we might be getting there at 3:45 in the morning. Yeah. So like it is so easy to push snooze, but we choose not to. And that's the importance of goals. Yeah. Too.
I mean, okay, so I went there with the purpose of completing my first half marathon.
Right.
So you went there with the purpose of qualifying for the Boston Marathon. How did you prepare mentally, and how was your mental?
Well, I think those training runs helped because I gained confidence. Yeah. Because the training runs here were really hot, so that was a challenge. And those 2 20-milers, my pace looked really good, so I felt prepared. Yeah. Now, one thing that we did encounter, because we struggled mentally and physically in the race. Would you say your struggle during the race was more mental or more physical?
Physical.
Physical?
Well, no, both.
Yeah, because you struggled with the mental part of how long it was.
Yeah, I was struggling in mile 2 mentally. I was like, I'm in mile 2 and I already want to stop. So.
Yes. Well, so let's talk about travel. So one thing that we learned, and I already knew this because I've traveled out of state for a marathon and then in state, but always it involved like spending the night somewhere. So being away from home. And so I think we have to perfect our whole travel thing. And Christy and I are good travelers together. Like we are intentional about what we eat, what we drink. But do you feel like that we were really prepared for the impact of travel and how it affected our race?
We got there Wednesday.
Right. The race was
Saturday. We didn't race until Saturday. So we got that opportunity to get there early. We settled in. We did a shakeout run on Thursday. I really and truly, looking at it, thought we were spot on.
Yeah, I feel like I don't really know what we would have changed.
We were in the Airbnb 5 p.m. every night.
Bedtime.
6:45.
we're pretty boring travelers.
Party animals, guys.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm with you. We were intentional about fluids, about rest.
We did everything.
You know, we really did. We really did.
We did everything that we knew at that moment.
Yes, hindsight's 2020.
Hindsight's 2020, and I'm thinking about before going into it. We went prepared with hydration. We went prepared. We went to the store. We got foods that we normally eat. We only went out to eat once a day, and we had it early, so it didn't settle on our stomach when we slept. So we know that we were getting good sleep when we slept in a different bed. So we did all the things that we knew to do.
Yeah, we really did. We really did. So let's talk about race day. So this race was a little bit different which I guess is common after talking to some people, but we had to get up really early. There was Christy obsessed about the weather really for probably a month.
It was bad.
So the weather is very variable in Duluth. So we were really hoping for cooler temperatures, like you can truly appreciate maybe a 50-degree run, but that's not what we got. So tell us about the weather.
The day of a little chilly, Bethany.
The day of the weather, we waited for the storm that Christy had watched.
It was so bad. It was so bad, guys. I mean, I literally watched the weather. I'm an outdoor trainer.
She subscribes to the weather.
In the weather.
She pays for the weather app.
I do. I subscribe to the weather app. And so I was watching it, and there was always a chance of rain. And I was like, God, I don't know what you're trying to teach me here. I will not do it. I will complete this half marathon. But I was a little obsessive about the weather. And so there was a storm that was coming in. There was a storm that was coming in. And we woke up at 2:45. The night before, it said that it was going to be there like between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. But we had to get to the buses at 4 a.m.
Because you had to get on a bus.
Yes.
Christy had to get on one bus. I had to get on a different bus. And we rode to the location of the start line. So it was not like you start at the same place that you finish.
No, it was
a destination start.
We had a couple hours before we started the race to get to the starting line. And that was when that rain was going to happen. And so Bethany came prepared with ponchos and shoe covers.
It was a lot.
She is prepared more than I am, and so we were ready.
Yeah,
we were ready.
And we had to kind of wait because the race posted. They weren't going to say until like 4 a.m. We were planning to leave the Airbnb at 3:45, and they weren't going to post till 4 a.m. whether they were delaying.
Yes.
So it was a lot of hours before we ever got there.
Yeah, because we got up at 2:30.
Yeah, we just wanted to be settled. So that was kind of like, a little unknown.
It was.
But I laughed because I drove Christy to her start line, ponchos, shoe covers, the whole bit. And the weather had kind of cleared by the time that I went to the bus. And all the other runners had like just their running gear, and I still had all this plastic on. I just didn't want to run in wet shoes. So it cleared up by the start, and Christy barely kind of got to the start line somehow.
It was very interesting because they drive you to the start line. My start was 6 a.m. So the half marathoners went before the full marathoners because the full marathoners, their halfway point is our starting point. So they wanted to get us out of the way before you guys came to us. And so I started at 6 a.m. So my bus gets there at like 5:20 or 5:30, and I had leggings on. I had all these layers on.
Because Christy also obsesses about what she's going to wear when she runs.
Yep, I do that too, guys. A little control freak over here. And so I am used. I don't like cold weather. I don't like being cold. I really do not like being cold at all. And so everyone told me, you will not regret wearing shorts. So I had leggings on and a pair of shorts, and whatever you take off at the starting line, I donated to Goodwill. And so I took off my leggings. I went to the restroom one more time in the porta potty, which was like a 20-minute wait. And I take my pants off in the porta potty, and I put my shoes on in the porta potty, thinking I'm going to get out. I'm going to get everything ready. And I even took my quarter zip off, which had my bib on it. So I had to put my bib on my front. And I am in corral 1 because
Because I had full faith and confidence that she could finish in an hour 40
Yes.
when I signed her up.
So I am in corral 1, and so I go back into my corral, and I'm not even like still ready, and they start walking forward, and I am like 30 yards, and I look up, and I'm at the starting line, and I luckily had my bib on. I had my bib put on my front of the shirt. I had my quarter zip wrapped around my thing. I didn't want to give that up to Goodwill, guys. It was a thin one. But I laid my pants on them. I donated my pants. And I get to the starting point, and I'm like, get my watch going and get started. And I start running. And it was probably good, so I didn't overthink starting. But didn't do a squat, didn't do a leg, nothing. I did no warming up. And but I remember thinking, okay, I need to be running for the next 2 hours. And then I remember looking down thinking, well, didn't retie my shoes, so I hope they stay on. So it was definitely not my ideal start.
Yeah, because we like to be prepared.
Yes,
so
100%.
that was kind of, I had a little bit more time. So did like the bathroom line more than once, and then started. On race day, I already felt tight, like in my muscles. Yes. So I had called my husband, and I was like, I kind of feel like I have a clamp on the back of both calves. And so anyway, that's what proved to be hard for me. So started fast, started a little too hot. That's, putting on the brakes is hard for me. And so I think my first mile was 7:08. So I knew like I was trying to be conscientious. And so I did pretty good for the first half. So what about you? How did you feel when you started?
Well, I think what we need to talk about now is nutrition.
Yeah. So
fueling. Let's say fueling.
Yes.
As far as fueling for it. So what did you do to prepare? Let's say 24 hours ahead.
Okay, so 24 hours. So I eat really low carb generally. And so, our splurge for the trip, because we eat healthy, we tried to ramp up the carbs, sweet potatoes, granola. Like, we're so boring. But we're proud of that.
Yes.
So anyway, and more electrolytes. So that morning we thought we were doing something right, probably. There was a extreme heat warning in Duluth, which is comical. Yeah, but the temperature, it was probably 65. There was a lot of humidity that race. Like, there's a lot of variability in the weather. And so it was warmer than we wanted it to be, pretty humid. So I got up and drank coffee, did LM&T, did some electrolyte chews. And so hindsight, probably did too much before I actually activated my muscles.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Christy, tell us about what you walked out of the VRBO with.
So you talk about, you hear carb up. And I know that you carb up, like, you start carbing up like Wednesday, like 2-3 days before a race to start storing those glycogen storage.
Right.
And so I know that I'm not going to eat a spaghetti dinner the night before. They had that available to runners.
Not our deal.
No, I'm not going to be eating spaghetti before the race. So I do not know why I decided to veer off my path of intelligence of what I've always done. But I left the VRBO with a sweet potato. And I'm just thinking.
In the bag. Cold.
It's good. It's all good, guys. I didn't need to get warmed up. Sweet potatoes, they don't bother me. They don't bother my stomach. I'm not going to get bloated or anything like that. They process well through me. And I was like, maybe I need some more carbs for 3 extra miles. I don't know. I didn't do that before my 10-mile run.
Because you fueled very little during training.
Very little.
Very little.
I usually
like
run
maple
fasted.
syrup that I gave her to make her fuel.
Yeah, I use BPN, Go One More. G1M Sport.
Yeah.
I use G1M Sport, and it's a carb drink, and that's all I do. And then in the race, I've always just used maple syrup, and I've
just
only
once or twice.
I've used 2 before in my 10-mile run. I think I did 2, and I rarely drink water during training or anything like that. So I messed up. I had a sweet potato. I did have my coffee on the bus.
She ate the sweet potato
and
cold.
we know that now. After I get off the bus, I am running 30 minutes later.
Yeah, right.
So, and then I did have an LM&T, and I think that's it. And I had to go once the G1M Sport, and that's it. That's all I had prior to the race.
Yeah. So we both, hindsight, feel like that our fueling complicated things.
Very much.
And so in trying to look for the good in grandmas, that's one of the biggest pearls that we learned is don't deviate.
Do not deviate.
So like my running coach says, if you've been running fast and you're low carb, then don't ramp up the carbs. Like you've been efficient with what you've been doing. And so don't change.
Yep.
Now, I do think it's funny because I also work out with Christy and do strength training with Christy, and she really hates on people for drinking in the middle of working out. And so I do think it's funny that she stopped for water and
I grabbed it.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that. But anyway,
Yep.
hindsight, we both did some things. We feel like training wise, I truly believe in self-reflection a lot that we did everything we could do in training.
Yes.
And training looked good. We looked good.
Yep.
Spot on.
Yes.
But the race day, things didn't really go as planned.
Did not go as planned.
We still finished, and we're still proud.
I'm very proud.
Yes. But they didn't go as planned.
No.
So what happened to you and when? Mentally and physically.
Okay. So, again, it's mental. It truly is mental, and people are gonna chuckle over this. Like literally mile 2, I am thinking, and I had a good pace going. I was consistently about an 8:50, 8:54. Every time I looked down at my watch, I was there, and I felt like I needed to slow down a little bit. I didn't want to go off too hot, which I usually do. And would it have been nice to get sub 2? Yeah, it would have been nice to get a sub 2-hour marathon, a half marathon. And but my true goal was to finish it
and to run the whole time.
To run the whole time.
Yeah.
That's always my goal. So we get to the first water stop. I want to say it's like 3 or 4 miles in. It was maybe 3 or 4 miles in. Water stop. So I grabbed a water. I remember listening to a podcast, and she said she drank at every water spot, or just swallowed something at every water. So I did that, and so I'm running, and I feel good. I feel fine, and then I see somebody that has a banana.
Was it that early that you ate the banana?
It was probably mile 5.
And this is like the most uncharacteristic thing Christy could have done.
Yeah.
Stop and eat a snack.
It was a snack, guys. I literally got so excited. I got excited for a banana because I think I need to carb up more. I don't know why. And
it was a distraction.
It was it was like, ooh, a snack. I get to do something for 5 seconds instead of thinking about running. I don't know, guys. I really don't know what I did.
Did you walk while you were eating the banana?
No, I did not walk.
I still ran.
I still ran. And then water station and Powerade, and I grabbed a water and I grabbed a Powerade to get it all down. And then I probably ran another mile, and then I was like, I probably still need to do something that my body's used to. So I did 1 maple syrup packet. I'm about 6.5 miles in probably now.
You must have been feeling pretty weak or something.
Oh, it was bad
at that moment.
It was bad. And then after I had all of that in my system at about 6.5 miles, you just have that thought like, yep, a little sloshing going on down there, not feeling the best. And you in my mind, I was like, what did you just do? What have you done? And can I recover from this?
Yeah.
The answer was no, I did not recover from it. I got a cramp just high in my rib cage where I could not breathe. And I wear a chest strap when I run. And I literally had the thought of taking this $100 thing off and throwing it to the side because I just could not get deep breaths in. And that's the mental fortitude. I kept running and running, and I ran more in the middle of the road because it had some pretty big deeps. We had the entire 2-lane road. Was to us, they closed down the entire scenic road. We were right next to Lake Superior, and I'm trying to just enjoy the moment and look at scenery. And I remember going to the left because I feel like I'm fixing to become a walker. So I'm planning for this walk, guys, because I just cannot breathe, and it hurt bad. It really hurt bad.
And if you haven't had that kind of cramp, like that is hard. It is hard to activate your diaphragm.
So I was like, literally, I kept going to the left. I'm like, Christy, keep going, keep going, keep going. And I kept going, and it was about, I want to say it was about 8.5 miles in. I walked. I had to walk, and it was disappointing. It was needed. I was trying to just get some deep breaths in, but like I tell my campers all the time is do a countdown. Don't get stuck walking and you're not mindful of how long you're walking for.
True.
How long are you resting for? I'm very conscious about that. So if I started walking, I would look at something and I'm like, when you get to this line, you got to run again. Or I would do a countdown on my hands, 10-second countdown, and I would run again. So, and it is so true. If you stop, it is so hard to get going again.
I have always said that. I've always felt it in a race. If you walk,
Yes.
you will be a walk runner because it is so hard to activate your muscles because they're tired and they're sore. And I think we can both speak to this because I basically started feeling a little bit of a cramp at about mile 8 in my foot. And then in the first half,
feeling it earlier?
maybe six, just a little feeling, and maintained the pace that I wanted to be at for the first half, and actually PR'd for the first 13 miles. But I really kind of knew I was in trouble already because the way that my legs felt. And so hindsight, and after 2 weeks of kind of wallowing in my feelings about it, I also think that there's like some fortitude and resilience in being in the moment and in the race, and you can apply this to life too, and having to kind of let go of what your goals are and change what your end goal is. And I think we both did that. Like the moment that you have to walk, but you're like, okay, now my goal is that I'm going to finish.
Yep.
And so it's not a failure. It's just, it really is resilience. It's what we want people to do. It's what we want to encourage you to do is to be resilient that, okay, maybe like when I saw the Pacers go by that were the Pacers that I didn't intend to see again, it's kind of like, okay, you're giving up on your dream here for this race. But then you go, okay, but I'm still going to finish. I'm not going to be the dropout. Every so often it would say dropout.
Yes, yes.
There was like a space for medical or dropout.
Yep.
So that's kind of like the reality of going, okay, I'm disappointed in what I've done.
Yeah.
But we had some physical, I really felt like mentally I was good. Mentally it didn't feel hard or long.
Because you said the miles went fast.
The miles went fast to me. It was all on one road and the miles went fast. I've been in a race, the last marathon I did, where I was already struggling at like mile 5, kind of like you did it too. And that's a bad place to be because there's a lot of miles ahead.
Yes.
But the miles went pretty fast. But I basically at about mile 14 I cramped up from midfoot to buttock, both legs, and so then did like a run walk, a really fast walk for the whole last basically probably about 12 miles.
Wow.
So yeah. So what were you thinking? We both also said that we didn't really get to enjoy the crowds because we had our own thing going in our minds.
Yeah.
And that's kind of disappointing because I have ran races where I'm like, this is great. Like you enjoy the crowd. Fresh 15 in Tyler, you know, completely different race, shorter, but it's local. There's good community, good enthusiasm, and I do think Grandma's had that.
Oh, I was shocked at how many people were out there, even on that straight path.
Yeah, but we were all kind of caught up in our own thing.
Yeah, I was in my feelings.
Yes, I was definitely in my feelings. So, what parallels do you see between like the race and life?
I think with the race now, looking at it and knowing, I truly appreciate wisdom. I do. I appreciate going through something that didn't go as planned and learning from it, looking at it, and because again, I'm proud of what I accomplished. And I did well.
And Christy finished in 2:04, which is so good for first half marathon.
I did 2:04, and she did her half marathon in 1:33. Yeah, her first half was a 1:33, guys. So I mean, that's nothing not to sneeze at. Also, and it It was something that I did not plan. It was something that I knew better at doing. Well, I didn't know a sweet potato and a banana and all the hydration would do that.
We
physically.
both overhydrated.
Yes.
And there's things that happen at the cellular level. And hindsight, Chrissy knew that her gut was not going to digest a sweet potato and all this fluid when you've got your muscles activated. Like it has to do one thing or the other.
Yes.
And so
I mean, so the way that I am as a person is, if I learn a lesson, I don't want to repeat it.
Yeah.
So I am very conscious of any type of mistake I ever make in business or in leadership, or if my team makes it, or if a client makes it, or anything like that. Learn from it. Don't repeat it. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, that's it. And it's lessons like that are painful, that are going to be more, monumental for my future, because I do want to do more of these.
Yeah.
And it will make me better.
And don't deviate from your plan, and don't underestimate fueling. That's the biggest thing we learned, because I truly think in my other races that I had just gotten lucky because fueling had never been that important to me. Yes, I had fueled, but I didn't really see the implications of if things didn't go as planned.
Yeah.
So
I know, and it's frustrating, because we were so intentional.
We were intentional, and we felt prepared.
And
when I crossed the finish line, Christy did not feel sorry for me. She maybe felt sorry for me a little bit, but she didn't show it at all. But one thing that I remember saying to you in my little feelings was, I did everything I could.
Yes,
and I did.
You did.
I did. Like, I did the best that I could.
You did.
And I still finished. And yes, it wasn't what we wanted, but that's life, right?
4 hours.
Yeah, it's life. It was still a really fun trip.
It was.
And, but you're right. It's life, and you have to regroup, learn from it, and then do it again, right? Or reevaluate your goals. So
the same parallel you have?
Yeah, I think so. I think, number one, like, life is hard, just like that race. It throws you curveballs, just like the race. That sometimes I tell patients that there's no reason to worry, because it's what you didn't expect on a Tuesday that blindsides you,
Yeah.
So that was kind of the race. And, being humbled is good. Being humbled is good, to realize that you have to keep working. So,
what about your faith? Did your faith show up?
Yeah, well, when I started cramping, I always pray when I run. And honestly, a good run, I feel like, and we said this before the run, a good run, like, I feel like you meet God on a good run. Like, you're looking at nature, you're listening to music, we're thankful for what our body can do. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel all of that, because I never felt great during the run. But, I'm thankful that we got to do it. We're still, running a marathon. 1% of the world has run a marathon. So it's still like hard things. But we're both high achievers. Mm-hmm. And we're not used to setting a goal and not meeting it. Yes. And so number one, I think that that's good for us to not always meet our goal. Nick Bear, in his new book that we just read, he talks about that your goals should be such that you don't always make it to the finish line. And that's hard.
Yes.
That's hard for people like us. But whether it's spiritual or health or nutrition or our goals, we've never arrived. Like, you're always going to keep evolving. And so I think that's what I learned, is that we do have to regroup. Yes, it's disappointing, but people watch you, and the way, your true character is defined when
something like that happens.
You don't meet the goal, or you're uncomfortable. And so, I was a little bit in my feelings for a little bit, but anyway.
I don't do well with that.
No.
Yeah, I don't do well with that. I don't know what to say or do or anything.
Yeah.
And I was nervous. I was texting her husband on the side, and I was concerned about her, because I know how strong of a runner that she is, that you are, and I knew something had to happen.
Yeah.
I knew something had to happen, and it's hard. It's hard for me to go there, and especially supporting her in this goal that she had, and not getting it. It's like, what words can you say? And it is. We are blessed that we do have faith. It is a good thing, because we are strong. We are not injured. We succeeded. We are proud of what we accomplished. And God is going to continue to bless this training and this friendship and everything that we're doing together.
Yeah, our identity is not in Grandma's Marathon.
Yeah.
So would you do Grandma's again?
You put me on the spot, didn't you? Would I do Grandma's again? She's trying
It's
to
one
get
of our
me to do it next
questions.
year.
It's one of our questions, really. So why or why not? That's the.
I would do it again because I feel like I actually had the thought of getting a tattoo of 13.1 next to my dad's tattoo, and I feel like I can't get it yet. I've not completed it without stopping
Because Christy
half
wanted to
marathon.
run the whole thing.
So it would be nice to be able to go back and run the entire thing because
Yeah.
it was a good course.
It was a good course.
I did like it.
It was a good location. I have my calendar set for October, whatever, to sign up.
because it's the 50th.
So it's the 50th. So we might do it again. Before we end, okay, so Duluth, I want Christy to tell about the lift bridge, just because this was a highlight. Like the focal point of Duluth, because it's a port city with Lake Superior, which is the biggest freshwater lake in the world,
yeah,
right?
It's huge.
So it looked like an ocean.
It did.
But there's this beautiful lift bridge that lifts all the time for boats and
Tugboats.
yeah, to go through. And so tell us about the lift
Okay.
bridge, because I haven't seen Christy scare very many times. New York subway and then the lift bridge.
I don't like heights. Heights is not my thing.
We're
but-
working on it.
But this lift bridge is it's the road. I mean, of course, it's a road over the water, and the entire road lifts up into the top of the bridge.
Really high.
I'm used to a lift bridge like with a triangle. Like the road comes up and it goes this way, and it separates and comes back together. This one just comes up, and so it's probably, what do you think? 100 meters?
Yeah,
50
probably.
meters? 100 meters?
Yeah,
It's
pretty far.
It's a pretty, it's a 60-second walk. Let's say that. And so we walked everywhere in Duluth because the Airbnb was only a mile from the town. Everything was at, even the starting line. It was a great location, great Airbnb. And so you had to walk across the lift bridge. And so we saw it coming in, the lift bridge. We knew how it worked. And so we're walking across it, and we are maybe a little over halfway.
And I'm like, Christy, wait, stop. Let's
Let's
get a picture.
Let's take a picture, And all you hear is, it sounded like a train warning.
Mm-hmm. Beep, beep, beep.
And I'm like, what is that noise? And all of a sudden,
sheer terror
it
on
was
her
like
face.
literally giving you the warning that the lift bridge is going to go up, and we are on the lift bridge. I left.
She
I was
was
like,
gone.
exit,
She was
exit.
gone.
See you, Bethany. I don't know if you're going to get off, but
All
I
I
am.
could see was her ponytail. She was
was
like,
like-
it was fear in her eyes and then her
oh.
ponytail.
I mean, it was crazy. I mean, you literally have like 20 seconds to get off this bridge.
Yeah, hindsight, another thing we learned, there's a little walk, stop sign that was probably on that we didn't see.
Didn't see it.
Yeah.
So now every time we looked, we would look down Lake Superior, and if we saw a boat of any size, we've learned that any size needs that lift bridge to come up. We're not walking across that bridge. We'll just wait.
Yeah.
Or
But
we're
it
doing
was
a
a
light
good
job.
memory. It was a good memory. And we did maybe nearly knock some people down on the
Oh, we
lift
did.
bridge to get off of it.
I never
So,
strolled across the
no,
lift bridge.
No, Christy was not loitering on the lift bridge
Nope,
ever again. But anything else you want to say? I think we learned so much and that we can laugh about it. It was a great trip. It was a good race. And we're just going to move forward. So
Yeah.
next half is
Next half?
in 3 months. Yeah,
It's really 3 months.
it's 3 months.
It's
Yes.
in October. We're going to Bar Harbor.
Yeah.
It'll be beautiful. It's a destination. I do enjoy doing destination
Yeah.
fitness trips.
We just have to figure out how to not let travel impact our bodies.
I know.
So
Yeah, it'll be different. We're traveling with another couple and our husbands this time. So they may not want to go to bed at 7
They might cramp
p.m.
our style. That's right. But
Yeah, so
anyway, thanks for watching. The bottom line is we wanted to be conversational and tell about this race because it does play into who we are and mental toughness, resilience, health, and what this podcast is about.
amen. Getting through hard things, guys. That's what life's about.
Yep. So thanks for listening.
Yep. Bye, guys.